What the fuck do you want?
Hello and welcome to another week of What the Fuck Do You Want? And yes, it's not just me once again. That would be horrible. I've actually introduced somebody new, somebody that hasn't been on 12 times already. The one, the only, Jer.
How are you getting on?
Magic, how are you?
Dialed in, ready to go.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. I was worried about you there.
Well,
Don't be.
into it. Don't be, pretty much.
Well, seeing as people can't see your lovely face, you'll have to tell us about your lovely voice. How would people know it?
You might have seen me on Twitch. You might have seen me in an ad for Tullamore Dew before, and that's about it. I used to do a podcast myself back in the day. Not nearly as good as this one, but, I tried.
I didn't. It's all natural. You were in
At least
Tullamore Dew advert.
Yeah. I found out they were doing a thing nearby because I live near Tullamore. And I sent in an audition when I was supposed to be doing one for an extra, but I put on a VR headset because they had a role for a lad wearing a VR headset. So I did this silly audition with a headset on, and it was ridiculous. And yeah, they got me in with it, and I loved it.
Oh, colour me fucking jealous.
You know what the worst thing is?
What's that?
I'm more of a Jameson man.
Well, I was going to say, if I was going to pick a brand, it would not be the first one I go for, but you take the roles you're given.
There you go, that's it.
I'm sure you give it your full gusto, you give it your Jameson face.
That's the word I'm looking for, the gusto of it all.
Piss and vinegar. So we didn't come here to talk about whiskey, which is a shame because we could talk a while about whiskey.
Hours, days. How much time we got?
It's not what we're about. Less than half an hour. Time is ticking down. So, Jer, please tell me, what the fuck do you want?
I tell you now. I tell you once, maybe even twice. I want to talk about Atomic Heart. Fucking beautiful game. Kind of got shit on, but it was an experience. You played it too.
I did play it indeed, and I'm a bit rattled here when people come on to What the Fuck Do You Want? It's about cartoons that were cancelled 20 years ago or things that aren't getting sequels. Atomic Heart, it exists. It is apparently getting a sequel. What the fuck more could you want?
That's it exactly. It's actually weird to think people didn't like it because the ratings are so high for it. It's got a 9 out of 10 on Steam. It's got an 8 out of 10 IGN. Like, come on, wake up.
So for anybody that hasn't got to play it, we'll do a little capsulation. We'll explain or try to explain what it is.
That's actually really hard. It's like Russian Bioshock.
That wasn't hard at all. That was very concise, brief. Well done.
There you go. Yeah, take Fallout and Bioshock had a baby. It was set in the Soviet Union. Yeah. It's kind of like a weird alternate history where the Soviets got super advanced out of nowhere. Invented this thing called polymer, superconductor. It got advancements in atomic energy and robotics, and they went ham with it. And after a certain amount of time, the robots were so advanced they were building cities by themselves, and then it was time to move people into them.
What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, I do love a diverged timeline. So in the world of Atomic Heart, it's set in the same world we're in, but towards the end of World War II, there was like a little split in the timeline where the Germans were about to lose and they unleashed something called the Brown Plague upon the planet, which...
wiped out most of Europe, hence the Soviets are so powerful at the time.
Yeah, they were the guys that managed to sort it out, which made them a superpower in the end of. So, I don't know what the Brown Plague is. I'd imagine it's like Ebola. Something where you shit yourself to death.
I'd imagine, yeah, veins in the neck, sitting on the jacks, your mother goes in to check on you, you're dead in the throne, and yeah, it's a rough experience.
Yes, it is the Elvis disease.
The Elvis disease. Oh, that's a callback.
So yeah, it very Fallout and Bioshock, you walk around finding audio notes. There is a weird mechanic where you find stopwatches.
I ignored almost every one I found.
You who?
No, like one problem with this game was there's so much dialogue going on.
Yeah.
And if you're streaming it like I was at the time, you're not sure like, oh, do I listen to this? There's more dialogue coming. But there was times where I'd at a normal walking pace, get to the place I'm supposed to go to, and the audio would cut out because I got there too fast. And I'm thinking, if I listen to this tape as well, how much time am I wasting here?
Well, this streaming games, it's a fad. Why not just play them for your own pleasure?
I agree entirely.
I was hoping for a bit of kickback.
Nah, completely, yeah. don't do what I do.
Or just don't play games. Get a real hobby.
Yeah, go dig holes in other people's gardens. and never fill them in. That's what I did as a young lad.
It's character building.
Yeah.
Look where it got you.
Yeah, talking about Atomic Heart. But yeah, one big draw to that game, I'm sure you might have noticed, was these two twins.
Yeah, you're not going to dance around this at all. This is what brought you in.
No, this is what got me in. I didn't know anything about the game until I seen these, and suddenly I was a big fan. Actually, you know what's funny about those twins, right? So if you don't know about the twins, these two robot ladies, they're dressed like ballerina outfits. One has a coat, one doesn't. They look exactly the same, but the developers tried to make them look a bit sexy. And
they tried,
kind of made people, a bit iffy about the game. The rumored 6-hour sex scene with them. I'm still looking for that. I couldn't find it.
Oh, it's coming in the VR update.
Oh, I can't in the VR update. But in the developers version of the game, any there's no way to beat around it. Their ass and their tits are bigger in the developers version of the game. And so someone pointed out when they did like a live stream showing off like what they were doing at the time versus when the game actually came out. So that's the kind of developers we're working with.
It's called priorities, and yes, they have them.
Yeah, they got everything ready.
So do you think there's one member of the team that just kind of told them, the measurements, we need to talk about the measurements just before release?
There's some lad like no one wants to talk to. He's sitting there all clammy and sweaty all the time, like, excuse me, sir. I think we could make them just a little bit bigger. I think the audience will really connect with a D cup. You get what I'm saying?
Because there are the people that have basically made a career out of jiggle physics in fighting games.
Unfortunately, you are right.
These people exist.
Again, unfortunately, you're right. I wish they didn't. But, it did add a bit to the game, which, it's interesting. Because even like the main character is somewhat attracted to them at some point. Fucking like caresses their face. Now, without spoiling it, you find out later on why he feels some kind of connection with these robots.
Yeah.
And it's not that he was a big horn dog.
Partly.
Semi. He's got a good excuse.
He definitely had one, yes.
Just smidge. He does ask a question if they're just ballerinas later on. And it turns out that there's also pleasure models. So, no. Speaking of pleasure models. Did you find the fridge at any point?
Oh, I did. The lovely Nora.
Is that her name? Nora? Good Lord. I just called her honey for the whole playthrough. She was something.
This fridge, you have to interact with this fridge to upgrade your abilities to craft weapons. There's possibly no way to finish the game without interacting with her. And she made so many people on the internet so uncomfortable.
And stiff.
And stiff. They were awkwardly stiff. And something about that just tickles me. It doesn't feel... A lot of people are saying it's immature and it was badly designed. I was like, I think they knew exactly what they're doing. They knew this would annoy a certain sect of people. And making it a function that you had to... There's no getting around it. You have to interact with this character to get any further in the story. The amount of people they made squirm, I can only appreciate that from a troll stance.
Pretty much the same here. It was hilarious when the first time you see him. Because it tries to kill you, but it's talking like all, like it wants you. Trying to do some dirty talk.
Dangerous dominatrix.
Yeah. And there's a part of me that you have to cut out the stream for a minute and just kind of take 5 minutes to myself. But, overall, great experience. Look, they knew what they were doing. They tried to get some kind of weird sexy shit going on in that game. And between those two twins and that fridge, fair play. I imagine the sequel is probably going to double down on it even more.
I would hope so, because it made me realize how little of this material is currently in games. It's something that's been scrubbed out from the 90s. You don't really get a lot of that anymore.
Yeah, like I play Warzone for days at a time and I never see anything like that. But no, yeah, it's a great point. Like I haven't seen it in other games.
Well,
ever.
You've just created a new way to improve Warzone.
I'll turn on proximity chat and start saying some shit later.
I want your polymer inside me, sir.
Oh my god. But yeah, between weird fridges and that, there's a bit more to the game than that. Like the other enemies, it's this weird little mustache fella. He's got a weird little stash on him.
Yeah, this one really stood out. You come across a few units that aren't functioning anymore, and they're normally in quite risque poses.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that completely.
Yeah, and,
wow.
That will stick with me until my dying days. I laughed a fucking lot at this game.
Yeah, some dirty-minded people in that.
Yeah, well, fair play to them. There aren't enough dirty-minded people about at the moment. Everybody's a dull, boring bastard. And the more wanking pistons I can get in video games, the more I'll take.
Exactly. Yeah, plenty more. Did you see for the ad for the game who was in it?
I did indeed. For anybody that enjoyed The Boys.
Jensen Ackles.
Yeah.
A wee beast.
Sold it completely. If you weren't already in, there you go. So how did you play it? Were you one of the Game Pass?
Yeah, I'm a Game Pass guy.
Good.
Have to be.
Yeah, you don't get on this fucking show if you're not.
When I found out that it was on the Game Pass, after being fucking heckled and demanded that I play it, just a feeling of relief just flew over me. How much is this game on Steam, real quick? It's 60 quid. So yeah, I was very happy when I found out it was on Game Pass.
I'd say so.
Because I was very lucky. I got like 3 months free on Game Pass because of Twitch. And that set me up very early on. I got like a bunch of games done. And then...
I suppose too, I'm guessing variety stream angle, it's great to have that selection.
Well, that's the thing. Some of the games are terrible. Like, some of them aren't worth playing. Like, most of them, like, right?
Any stinkers you've come across?
You ever play Prey?
I have, yes. Arcane?
Yeah, I played it on stream, and the whole figure it out yourself idea behind it is terrible for streaming. Like, in my own time, I would love that game, but for streaming it was terrible. Because like your brain, you got streamer brain, right? Your brain is trying to like turn the gears and figure out what's going on, and
you engage with the audience at the same time. You're kind of juggling a few things when you're streaming.
Yeah, a couple little things like that.
Taking the odd cold shower when you get aroused. Yeah,
that's one part of it. Yeah, especially with Atomic Heart. The main character was a bit weird. I didn't know if I liked him or hated him towards the end.
Comrade Major, I felt an instant camaraderie with Comrade Major. He was my kind of protagonist, angry and sweary.
I hated his crispy critters thing.
As did I, but
I have no idea why he says it.
No, did you not get that? Oh,
and he says it so often.
I would almost tease a bonus spoiler episode. They're a fantastic reason, but it is explained in audio notes and logs.
Let me look this up real quick.
There is quite a bit of backstory to this. For anybody that fell off the game because it was shallow or didn't have a lot of depth, you missed out on some cracking, twisty, turny, fucking fantastic Fallout style storytelling. Not to rub it in.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'll have to figure out later.
This is why you replay it.
Yeah, I really want to replay it.
Yeah, because it annoyed me the whole way through. I wondered, is this a phrase in Russian that just doesn't translate as well? Is it a bit clunky? But the Russian is like a burnt pie. I will not attempt to say the actual phrase because I will butcher it. But yeah, there is a whole explanation of why this clunky line gets thrown out, and it's fucking quite brilliant, actually.
Yeah, he's very regular with it. He definitely has to say it.
There was a very early part of the game where your glove, which we haven't mentioned, Charles, who talks to you, that this glove is how you use superpowers. You shock enemies, you can levitate them with telekinesis, you can use ice, and there's more, but I'm blanking at the moment. But it talks to you.
My one was I shot goop.
You shot goop?
I was a goop shooter for that one.
Yeah, it's handy. Goop is conductive.
That's not what I used it for, but yeah, sure.
I was an accidental gooper. The glove, at one stage, there's a lot of back and forth between the two. It got compared to Forspoken quite a bit because it was heralded as the game for the worst dialogue, and for good reason. But there was a moment where the glove's explaining that on your heads-up display, I'm just going to let you know where a door is, and this door is going to bring you to a new area. And as he's explaining it, Comrade Major's just, fuck you, I know how doors work. Oh yeah, I like this guy.
It's also interesting how that glove has like a character arc as well, right?
Yeah, so you assume it's a tool. It's just something you use to shock pricks.
You thought it was an AI the whole time. And as we go on, he starts getting a bit more personality, more and more and more. And at one point he starts keeping secrets from you, and you start to wonder why. Why are you keeping secrets from me? And the main character, gives a shit to his hand. Later on, we find out why.
Again, this game got thrown aside. It must be frustrating for anybody that wants spoilers, but it is worth playing. It is on Game Pass if you have the free time. Play it. Fucking superb. But Agent P3, as you play through, isn't really aware of his past. He knows he's a war survivor. He knows he's been brought back from the brink of death thanks to super science and polymer.
And Sessionov.
But there's a lot of blanks in the past. You do start to fill these out as you go along in the game, because it does feel very vague. It feels strange when you begin this game.
Yeah, because we know nothing about what happened before. There's a little history thing at the start. Like, oh, here's how the war went from like 1930-something to, 50-something.
Yeah, because even when you're walking through, it's the launch of the Collective 2.0. And the Collective is something that sits on your skull and allows you to command robots with your mind.
Yeah, but the reality of it is it's kind of a hive mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird. I tried to figure out like what was going on with the politics in that one. I was like, is it just like science-led communism with mind control? Like, I really could not place where they fell.
So it kind of, I don't want to say it flip-flops because it definitely has a message, it has a theme, but it's wrapped up in like this cheap facade of Soviet pride, but it's so very fragile. The glove itself likes to poke holes in certain areas of weakness, or if Comrade Major's going down a certain path of thought, he'll throw him completely off kilter. It's not a straightforward story.
Far from it. And yeah, I want to play it a second time at some point, thanks to you.
Yeah,
keep playing
I'll
to me.
just rub that in. If you do
'Cause
fancy doing a bonus episode of spoilers, just hit me up.
Groovy. Yeah, what was it? Back to politics with the thing with, I think even Sessionov, who's like head of science, right? At some point he brings up like the lie of communism. Like what they have going on isn't what they wanted initially. He sees it's kind of warped, and I think he wants to use the hive mind to fix it. I couldn't really get his idea.
Yeah.
I know he wants robots to...
For the base elements of the story, the Soviets created robots for manual labor, and these have been shipped globally. They're in every country in the world. Where this game is based, it's kind of a compound. It's an area for scientific study, and the robots have rebelled, taking human lives, which they're not supposed to do. So it's up to you. It seems like they've been reprogrammed by some rebel scientists, and this is what's caused it. But then you start to question, well, why did these robots have a combat mode or the equipment required to have a combat mode? This is quite strange. So there's a lot of threads to pull on here.
Just to pull that thread a little bit further, it does say why they have a combat mode. They had a combat mode initially because they were sending them to the States, and they wanted to eventually take the States without even having to be there.
They mentioned that in passing in what could have been considered as humour, but I didn't think that was like the canon reason.
No?
No, because they do try to shift.
Why would they all have
blame.
such efficient combat modes?
Well, this is what they were getting into. I mean, they were trying to say, was this Sechenov's plan all along? Did he want to be like the dominant world ruler, or is this something that happened under his feet that he wasn't aware of?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to play this again too.
Yeah, because you paid a bit more attention to the story than I did, but I've seen like a couple of videos on it, and it's not as like linear as like say Fallout. It's one you can compare it to.
No, it's not as straightforward.
You kind of get some backstory, and it's kind of fed to you what has happened.
And I do like it. Again, spoilers, but like, even the ending is so open to interpretation.
What about that ending cutscene? What do you think of that?
I'm looking forward to see what they do with the sequel.
So confused with it. Our guy's name is P3.
P3, yeah.
Who is P1 and who is P2?
Well, I believe P2 gets mentioned in some of the notes. I believe that's your comrade that was in the same accident you were, because you are basically an experiment that they tried to replicate quite a few times.
Yeah, you get to see the files and how they kind of made your character. And that was a weird sequence.
You really should have listened to the stopwatches.
Yeah, I should listen to those. No, I ignored them on purpose. What do you think of the polymer stuff? They had like polymer creatures.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you into my psyche a little bit here. You know, this is things between you and me. Don't tell anybody. Did you ever watch the movie Ghostbusters 2?
No.
No.
Never seen it.
It's a classic. Everybody should watch it. People say it's not as good as the first, but fuck people. There is a substance in that movie, and it flows in a river under New York, and it's basically slime, but it's slime that grows in mass and it reacts to negative emotions. So when people are angry or bitter, they cheat on their wife, it multiplies, it gets violent. There's a scene with a bathtub, and that fucking haunts me still. It scared the shite out of me as a toddler, and this polymer and the creatures made out of it remind me of that, and I don't like it. It scares me a bit.
Polymer in this game is also a scary thing. There's also a bathtub scene.
Yeah, it's not friendly. Some of those fucking meaty mutants, they're horrible.
First time I seen it, it was horrific. It was actually horrific trying to beat that thing.
And then they start
dripping
throwing
sweat,
them out at you.
soaked through the chair.
Yeah, later on in the game, it does that Doom thing where it's a boss for one level, but then it's like a common enemy later on in the game.
Yeah, it did that with almost all the enemies.
Yeah, even the Blackguards like standard.
I didn't know what to call that for the whole game. because there's a white version and there's a black version, and I wasn't going to be like,
Mhm.
oh, the black guy's here, you know? Because I was like, there's no way I could save this. They didn't give me a name for what it was called,
Yeah, it's
except
like
for that one little fight scene where you hit him in 3 hits and he's dead.
you don't want to end up like Liam Neeson. Oh, we hit the black guy with the kosh.
I forgot about the Liam Neeson thing.
Yeah, it's we're all trying to forget it. He's a treasure.
He is. He's Northern Irish, isn't he?
He is,
Fair
and
enough.
he was the best Jedi, as we
Best.
all are.
Qui-Gon Jinn, fond of the gin.
Qui-Gon Frisky.
That is his unofficial name. Yeah.
Well, I suppose when we're getting to that point of it, you kind of avoided, for a better word, the fallout surrounding this game when it released.
Yeah, I avoided it on purpose because I'm thinking, like, just because a game comes from somewhere, who gives a shit, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I can respect people that don't want to play certain things for certain reasons. There are people that didn't play Hogwarts Legacy because of the surrounding drama around that. If that's...
I got a lot of shit about playing that game. Got nothing.
Well,
but playing
why
Tom
do you
Cruise.
hate trans people?
Well, here, let's go. I know. Yeah. That's kind of the stance people had when you played that game. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I want to be a fucking wizard today. Just
But
give me a
it's
break.
the same world over. There are people that boycotted Ubisoft because of how the staff were treated, and yet when it died down and it wasn't in the news cycle, they picked up Valhalla for half price and forgot about it. Blizzard were the biggest bastards in the gaming industry until Diablo 4 came out. And oh, well, we'll forget all that because I want to play the new game.
That's literally it. That's the argument. Like, come on, there's going to be bad people and everything. And realistically, like, J.K. Rowling, people don't like her. She had basically nothing to do with the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you bought the game, you didn't give her money. She was given a lump sum. Even at that, like, I'm not playing this game like, God, I love this woman. She's so
Yeah,
cool.
I can understand
No.
people that didn't want to play it. That's fine. If that's what you want to do, nobody's taking that away from you. But don't shame people that do. It's give and take.
Yeah. There's worse games to play.
I always think with people not playing this because of the Russian influence, and it's quite a Russian game. The team are from Russia. It wears it on its sleeve. But if I never played games from tyrannical countries that invaded places they had no right to be, I never would have got to play Banjo-Kazooie, and that's one of my favourite games.
It's a good point. I was trying to think for a second. I'll give an example from China. I've never played a game from China, so I think they get a pass on that one.
It's all mobile shite.
Staying in their lane. Yeah.
So did you have any favourite weapons on your playthrough of this?
I don't know about you, but I didn't get the Kalashnikov till like the very end.
Yeah, some of them you didn't get until much later. I don't know if it's random drops or I just missed the right chests, but
Yeah, I thought I missed it because I was given like thousands of bullets for the Kalashnikov before I ever had it, which is very, very weird. But probably a shotgun, the boomstick, or even some of the melee stuff.
see, I nearly went
the-
all physical throughout the playthrough. It just
Yeah.
seemed to work better for me.
It felt nicer.
Yeah.
Remember that boss battle with the ash belly?
Oh yeah.
Weird name. Man, fighting that thing. Yeah, because if you hit on the head, its head would dunk down, like you just like slap the top of a baby's head,
Mhm.
right? So it was hilarious in the stream because it took about 40 minutes to do it. Because I would do it for one segment, the girlfriend would do it for another, and just bonking the
Normally
head with the
hitting
thing.
babies is much quicker than this.
Yeah, I know. This was not record speed. It's probably my slowest time. But yeah, just smacking this thing on the head, and
Mm-hmm.
took a while. But the weird thing with that was the melee did so much more damage
Yeah.
than the bullets.
And you didn't run out of bullets either.
Mm.
Because I found something, and again, probably butchering the name, the Svadojka, but it was.
What did it look like?
It had circular blades on it. It was a big stick.
With the 2 saw blades on it.
Yeah, if you fully upgraded
Yeah.
it, you could use that skill, the telekinesis, to hold people in the air and then send up 2 circular blades to hack them to bits before they fell to the ground. And it was just,
Wow.
what a combination. Because another lovely thing about it, you can spend your points again. If you get an upgrade and don't like it, you can refund it and put it somewhere else with no penalty. So you can play about without a problem.
I had this problem with doing the stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was playing for ages, and I realized,
suppose it's harder to experiment when you're on stream.
I realized that, okay, I do like 4-hour segments. I realized I hadn't upgraded in 6 hours of gameplay,
Mm-hmm.
and I had all this gear sitting there. I was wondering, like, why am I getting my ass kicked? And I upgraded everything as much as I could, and the game got so easy towards the end. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I said all this stuff, and I'm thinking, is this game really, really hard? I'm on normal settings. I'm on normal difficulty. Like, do I have to go to easy for this?
Yeah, I was the same. I think there's a dodge upgrade that gives you a brief moment of invincibility and increased running speeds. Before I got those, I was getting battered. But after getting those, they're almost required.
Yeah. Especially like some of those beefier bosses, like, like the red little Scrimbo, whatever his name is, the polymer guy.
You need a couple of dodges in a row.
Mm. And, the Ash Belly itself, that thing was horrific to fight. That's the hardest boss battle in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fighting the twins was easier.
I think by that stage of the game, you had all the upgrades you needed. You knew what was happening.
One thing I found weird about the twins, I felt like the ending of the game was rushed. The twins said nothing and made no noise up until the last 40 minutes of the game, where they started grunting and, screaming. And I was very confused. I was like...
Yeah, they went from these strange... We mentioned earlier, they are ballerinas. They have almost dancing scenes.
Yeah.
So they're quite serene up until the very end.
And then at the end, it feels like they were supposed to have a segment where they communicated in some way at all. But no.
I always get that feeling if there's DLC coming. Horizon Forbidden West really felt like that.
I don't want DLC. I want a second game. I feel like if they do a DLC, like they probably won't commit as hard with the next game. And I want the next game to slap.
So fuck your DLC sequel.
Yeah, come at me. Yeah, there was a premium for the game, wasn't there? Did you play that?
I didn't know.
I think it just gave you all the weapons had like a gold skin available.
Ooh.
I think that was literally it.
Should have went for that. I see the collector's edition still up on the website, and I might just get drunk enough to order it some night.
How much is this going to cost? 80 quid minimum?
Around that, yeah.
No, $99.99.
$99.
$100
I'm
basically.
going to have to get really drunk.
Wow. Shit-faced. But yeah, you just get weapons in gold. Electro weapon skins. That's literally it. That's what I can see here anyway.
Well, I suppose we better start winding down. Do you want to make a final plea to tell people to play the fucking game?
Play the fucking game. What are you at? Look, it's a little gem out there. If you got the Game Pass, there's no excuse not to do it, right? And the Game Pass, it's as little as €1 a month, and then after that it's like 10, whatever it is. It is well worth it, and even if you finish it fast enough, if you get the Game Pass, you got other games to play too.
Oh yeah,
it's brilliant. I should be getting a commission on saying this, but it is absolutely incredible. If you like alternate histories, if you liked Wolfenstein, if you liked Bioshock, if you like Fallout, this is going to be for you. It is beautiful, and it looks a lot prettier than any of those games I mentioned.
Yeah, that's one thing we didn't mention earlier. It is a gorgeous looking
graphics
game.
Were insane. Unreal Engine 4 pushed to its limits, and it's not that performance heavy either. You're thinking,
it ran very well.
It'll fry my PC. I run it on an i3 initially, did an i5, and it still ran fine. With streaming even, it ran beautifully.
Oh, nice.
I was on high or ultimate settings for everything.
Because I was on Series X, and apart from a couple of frame issues when it got busy, it ran very well. Console peasant.
Yeah, console peasants. But look, it is worth it. Okay, give it a go at some point. And if you don't, look, I'll come over to your house, I'll find you. And the rest is history.
The full Liam Neeson treatment.
But anyway, look, it was great crack being on today. The full Liam Neeson, that's what I'll do.
Oh, that sounds catchy.
What about the lightsaber?
I'll just get a glowing baseball bat or hurl.
Yeah, glow in a hurl.
Yeah, just neon paint.
Now that's what I need to see.
Glow in the dark, so you can see your baiting coming as you're sleeping.
There you go.
Yes, it does feel like a game that is going to be considered a cult classic in years to come, but that's mostly because people told you not to play it. Don't be that dick. So, where will people find you if they want to hear more of you and see you playing games?
If you want to find me, you'll find me on Twitch at TheIrishGMan. It's the same name across everything except Twitter. And don't look at my Twitter. It's terrible. It's me giving out people for playing this.
It's private.
Game.
Fuck off.
I give out people for playing Atomic Heart all day long, but I love it myself. But yeah, that's it. If you want to find me, the Irish G-Man across everything. I stream Monday to Thursday, 7 till 11 Irish time.
The only time.
Yes. There's no other time. There's no other time
And
zones.
if you missed those notes, there are time zones, but we're not going to admit that here. If you missed any of those links, I'll have them all listed in show notes, so they're just a click away. So, Ger, the Irish G-Man, thank you very much for coming on this week.
Mr. Deadbeat, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, you sweetheart. But, until next time, get fucked.
Get fucked.